Do you agree that Hamas is a terrorist organization?
No.
You are fucking retarded.
Okay.
Well, I'd like
Really?
Whoa. Yeah, the group that slaughtered 1,200 Israelis on October 7th that periodically launches rockets into Israel and makes everybody go into bomb shelters, that takes hostages on the regular, that commits acts of suicide bombings, and in its charter states that it's going to destroy Israel by Allah's hand. Yeah, definitely not a terrorist organization.
Why isn't Hamas? Because everybody does consider
Because
them.
Hamas is an armed resistance group fighting against an occupying army.
How can you occupy your own country?
If Israel wasn't occupying the land of Palestine, creating...
First of all, there's no land of Palestine. That is something that Yasser Arafat came up with in order to label the group that he was leading so that they would... He's an Egyptian. There were just Arabs there. But aside of the fact that Israel withdrew in 2005 and hasn't entered into Gaza in 20 years, that Hamas took over, they won the election, right? They destroyed all the greenhouses that Israel left as a gift to them. There wasn't a single Jew in Gaza during all this time other than the occasional soldier when necessary to put down Hamas and their bombings of Israel. So go on and tell me that it's an occupied territory, dumbass.
And fomenting and fermenting in the soil of repression a radical extremist group, like you want to call it, a radical extremist. When you sideline, fracture, marginalize every possible peaceful chance to reform and have ownership and control over your resources, your land and labor, which is your given...
No. It's completely up to Hamas. You see, they were given all sorts of water equipment that they fashioned into bombs, and they took videos of them turning the metal pipes into bombs and bragging about it. So yes, they have tremendous agency. This is because they are a terrorist group, not necessarily because of what Israel has done. Israel would like nothing more than to live in peace alongside Arabs in that realm, but they aren't given the opportunity to.
Right. According to international law, then you are left with the only option, which is to violently resist.
You think that rape is
and let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. If you think that Hamas is a terrorist organization,
Hamas is a terrorist organization. I don't think
the Jewish resistance in the Warsaw Ghetto, were they terrorists when they tried to uprise against their Nazi oppressors?
Okay, so
because that's the same exact material.
No, because they aren't being occupied. Israel just wants to be left alone. The Nazis were just getting ready to gas the Jews and basically treating them like slaves and rats that they discuss in their propaganda, always equating Jews to rats as filthy, etc. There's a huge difference. That's a false equivalency. God.
Real power differential.
That is the biggest false equivalency that
I don't know. I mean,
really?
Tate, is that a bad false equivalency? I feel like he's unbiased because if you are in the Jewish ghetto and you're fighting against the Nazis, you would consider them a hero today.
To be fair, like they were targeting soldiers, where with Hamas, it's more deliberate attacks on civilians.
They did attack civilians. They did kill indiscriminately. They made rudimentary makeshift
like Hamas, 1,200 people on October 7th. Really?
Weapons, which were imprecise. They marshaled any capabilities that they could to violently resist their own annihilation, which they knew. And did they think that was going to be successful for them? Of course not. They knew that they were going to die. They knew that the Nazis were going to. So what was the point of that violence? Why didn't they just lay down and die for the Nazis? If that's your argument.
Okay.
Because if the citizens of Gaza would just raise vegetables in the greenhouses that they were given and leave it a peaceful life and take the billions of dollars and fashion a Mediterranean resort that they could have, Israel would be very content to allow that to happen. There's a major difference between the Nazis wanting to gas all the Jews and treating them and putting them into the ghettos and what Israel is doing. It's a false equivalency.
Why wouldn't they just do that?
In your scenario here,
it's not my scenario.
The Nazis are Israel, and
yes.
The Jews are Hamas.
Yes.
Okay.
In World War II.
Hold on. Now, did the Jews in Warsaw occupy Germany, march into Germany and murder and rape a bunch of people? Did they set people on fire?
No, and neither did Hamas.
No. Yes, they did.
No, they didn't. You're repeating lies.
These are lies that are being repeated. You see, this person just should be taken out and thrown into the ocean with ankle weights, shall we say. He's basically saying that there was no October 7th.
Did you watch the footage on October 7th?
I did. Did you see it? Did you see when you saw hand gliders parasailing over an apartheid wall? When you saw bulldozers bulldozing through an apartheid wall? Did you think that was the Wehrmacht?
When you heard the soldier calling
it.
This is a stupid person. Just look at him. Very, very stupid. Hamas GoPro'd it and filmed it and bragged about it. And yet he's claiming that there was no October 7th. Fascinating.
Israel, are you fucking out of your mind?
When you heard the terrorist calling his parents like, "I killed 10 Jews, I killed 10 Jews," that's resistance. Have you watched the documentary?
What are you talking about? Most of the people that were killed on that day were killed by Israel, according to their Hannibal directive.
Oh, do you know what the
according to own Israeli publication?
Let's talk about
that's what I was trying to get to. The Hannibal directive.
Do you know what the Hannibal directive is?
Of course, I know what the Hannibal directive is.
What is the Hannibal directive?
The Hannibal directive is the directive that says that IDF is going to kill its own civilians.
Nope.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes. They must.
I'm sure he's framing it exactly as it's written. Nothing could escape this man's mouth that could be construed as anti-Israel or framing it in a manner that shows them in such a horrific light. No, I believe everything this guy says.
In order to avoid a political scenario.
Pull up the Hannibal directive and tell me if it
is a little vague, but there are different. This is the one thing, and I'm not even trying to be on Rathbone's side. There is different interpretations of it because it's like a military directive. But if we're just being honest, they did use it on that day, and whether they killed civilians
I think there was 14 civilians. I think the IDF.
14 civilians caught in the crossfire.
Is what they say, and obviously the numbers can be a
little. The actual Hannibal directive prevents the intentional killing of a civilian. It only applies to IDF soldiers to protect military intelligence if they are being taken hostage by the enemy.
So you just concede the point that they are allowed to kill their own
No, they're
people.
not allowed to. Yeah. If they kill a civilian intentionally, then it's a war crime. It will be investigated and tried.
They did it intentionally. Oh, yeah. That's why they're trying to rescue all the hostages. That's why they give back hundreds of Hamas members for each hostage that is returned. Right. Oh, goodness gracious. This is why I'm making this video. Leave it in the comments, your thoughts on it.
It sound like the Hannibal... You made it sound like the Hannibal directive says, kill anybody you want for any reason, including civilians. That's not what the Hannibal directive is. The Hannibal directive is a directive that pretty much every military has, where if you have a soldier that's being taken captive, you can take out the soldier. Because let's say they have sensitive information. Let's say they have military intelligence that you don't want to give them.
You don't want to give them leverage in negotiations.
Yes, that is not. So the Hannibal directive talking point is being parroted by people who don't know what it is.
Well, on October 7th, they instituted the Hannibal directive, and then they used Apache gunship helicopters to mow down.
You do have to admit
entire
real quick, guys, we're talking about this modern warfare where they're at a music festival. So Zach, I think that you would be very naive to think that if they're using a Black Hawk helicopter, that it would be very possible that a civilian could get hit. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, civilians got hit.
The footage you're referring to of the Black Hawk helicopter.
Why were those Black Hawk helicopters there? Because Hamas was butchering Israeli citizens, and the Black Hawk helicopters came to destroy the enemy. Goodness gracious. Do you think that they're going to just randomly bring out the Blackhawks in order to mow down Israeli citizens, as this ugly gentleman with the weird hair is trying to frame it as?
What day was that from?
I'm talking about October 7th.
You're talking about October 7th.
Yeah.
You know what I know what footage.
And I'm talking about publications. I'm talking about publications that have reported, according to the IDF, that the majority of the civilians that were killed on October 7th.
What publications? Al Jazeera?
+972 Israeli publication. It's an Israeli publication itself.
Yeah, Israeli.
It's Israeli saying this.
The Jerusalem Post is an Israeli publication. It's basically the MSNBC of Israel.
I didn't say that. I didn't say it came from there.
You're saying a publication. You appeal to authority. The journalist said it.
Oh my goodness!
Right?
Yeah,
Like,
it's like when you got car trouble. Oh, let me ask my mechanic.
but,
Oh no, don't appeal to authority.
No, but this is the vaccine is.
They're taking away from the fact that this man claimed that essentially October 7th didn't happen and all Israeli deaths were at the hand of the military that just decided to ship out the Apache helicopters and take out the concert goers. Yeah, that's what he wants us to believe.
Safe and effective fucking talk.
Okay, let's not talk about the vaccine.
I'm just saying it's the
We're talking about Israel and
Palestine. I heard it from the experts.
Oh
right?
man,
So
yeah.
like,
well, this is how we know.
Imagine that I have sources.
But real quick, this is how we do know
IQ,
vaccines are safe and effective because one of the most successful ceasefires, in Gaza was so that they could do a vaccine campaign for the Gazans. So that's how you know Israel loves those vaccines are very safe and effective if they're giving them out free like that.
Look,
but go ahead.
The Apache helicopter footage that you are referring to was from October 9th when they were shooting at Hamas terrorists. They were not shooting at civilians.
Okay,
and debunked.
They're not Hamas terrorists.
You know, it's so
They're not
wild.
Hamas terrorists. Don't you dare call Hamas terrorists. You're destroying reality for me.
That you are saying these people went into these kibbutzes in Israel and somehow still figured out a way to blame Israel, right? It's like, oh my God, they killed civilians when they were attacked. Like it's like, okay, if Washington D.C. had like I don't know, thousands of terrorists that just came in and soldiers were freaking trying to shoot them and accidentally shot a civilian, and then a year and a half later you're like, can you believe our military shot an American? It's like, dude, I get it. It's like fucking there was civilian casualties, there was crossfire. Every single death that is on that day is at the hands of the people who went in and started raping and murdering.
Again, that's not there's no evidence of rape, but also
hold on.
There's no
I love that you
like to. Can we two hostages that came out of Hamas captivity that said I was raped over and over again are lying?
Well, we'll get to the rape, but let him respond.
According, you said that it's everybody that died that day is the fault of Hamas because they instituted Operation Al-Aqsa Flood. They burst through the apartheid wall. They attacked Israel.
Apartheid wall. God.
That is not what
this guy knows. Nothing about Israel because in Israel they actually have 20% approximately of their citizens are Arabs and they can serve on the Supreme Court. There is an Arab a Muslim on the Supreme Court and they serve in the Knesset, which is like the Congress, the Parliament of Israel.
International laws say. That is not what universal humanitarian laws say. Every you read the articles expressed in the UN Charter, it makes clear
this guy's done a lot of drugs in his life. It's affected his judgment.
Here that reprisals born against an occupying army or an occupying force are the fault of the occupier ultimately because they created the conditions for a reprisal, for an act of resistance. And that is indeed what...
As I said, Gaza was freed 20 years ago, and they got Hamas, who just took all the resources and are attempting to use them to destroy Israel. Oh, and also allow their sons to live like princelings in the Four Seasons resorts of Qatar.
You have between the Gaza Strip, between the Palestinians and between the Israelis. The Israelis are legally known and concluded to be occupying people. They are an occupying state. How? Because they took land in 1967, and going back to my previous point, UN Resolution 242, when they started the 6-Day War in 1967.
Who started that war in 1948?
Israel started the war.
No, that was the Palestinians.
No. Well, again, you can say that.
I'm going to go over the fine points, and I'm going to try to blame Israel for absolutely everything. This is the anti-Israel left for you.
You can go into your feelings and you can make it personal all you want, but this is not. I have looked it up. That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah, maybe
UN Resolution 242 is unanimously agreed upon that Israel started an illegal war of acquisition, and in that war they acquired territory, which is illegal, and then on top of that, they settled that land. They instituted a blockade and siege of that land. These are all war crimes. They transferred people into the occupied territories. Another war.
You know what's not a war crime? when you send people over in hang gliders and you go through a wall and slaughter 1,200 people. That's not a war crime. No way. You know, the peacegoers at the concert, that's definitely not a war crime.
They transferred the indigenous people to other parts of the occupied territory or expelled them. Another war crime.
Who started the Arab-Israeli War of 1948?
Again, you're
no, you don't want to go. You don't want to go back that far. You want to go back to 67.
I'd love to go back. Let's go back to 1948.
Okay,
let's go back to 1948. Let's go back to 1917. When you say that the Arab-Israeli War that is a misclassification, that is a straw man of what is actually happening. So what you're saying is that if Nazis came into your home and took your home and hogtied you and put your family in the basement and said, okay, this is our home now, and if you fought back, then you're a terrorist. That's basically what you're saying. And it's just a war. It's just a war. The Nazis came in and they took my home, and then now it's a war.
Well, I do want to make the point. I mean, Misfit, don't you have to understand that if your dad got blown up by Israel, wouldn't that radicalize you a little bit? Can't you be a little empathetic to them? I mean, if your dad gets bombed, your grandfather got bombed, and
I understand. I understand that there's the argument that if you if you go after terrorists, you create more terrorists, right? And it's an argument that's predicated upon the fact that every conflict that America and other nations have gotten into, where you try to enact regime changes, they fail miserably because there's this resistance. They don't want to change. They don't want to go under your new laws and your new rules. And we don't, God forbid, we try to fucking civilize you people.
Oh my God. Listen to this rhetoric, dude. It is so Islamophobic and...
Islamophobic, I mean, you just had Islamists that came over the border, that came over the wall in hang gliders and slaughtered people. Oh my God, Islamophobic. Oh my God.
No, I don't think we're Islamophobic enough, especially when you think statistically.
I don't even have to really say anything at this point. I look like a clown.
I saw the first 20 seconds of that, and I knew I had to just react to it. It's a ridiculous video, and honestly, the leftist is a complete clown who knows very, very little about the subject matter and is completely biased in his judgment, assertions, the drugs he's used, and maybe from looking in the mirror. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and if you're new and you like this content, subscribe. Peace.